Welcome back everyone to Mona's Take. I am your host Mona Rose and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Helps my channel grow. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think. I want to welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you guys very much. I don't know what's happened in the last couple of days, but it has taken off, so I am here with you guys for the duration. Lamar is heard saying that he hates everybody in the house. I think Lamar is starting to pick up on all the back and forth, and he is not really for it. So it's starting to irritate him a little bit. Todd, Cynthia, Misha, and Todrick are out in the backyard last night, and Todrick's going on and on about how he has to stop taking these small roles. He needs to think about what he's going to do for the future to make money, and how he's got this huge mortgage, and that, COVID could take over again or anything could happen again, and he doesn't want to lose his house and he needs to get his house paid off. He said he'd consider doing Dancing with the Stars if the pay was big enough. Shanna's seen talking to the cameras, and she says, "Chris, if you're watching, this might have been the dumbest thing we've ever done." She knows that she's in jeopardy. She's feeling all alone in the house. She's secluding herself into the room. I'm hoping she can get out of it, because she got to get her head out of her butt and get her head back in the game and win this POV so she doesn't go home, because that is her only chance at this moment. Cynthia tweeted this morning and said, "Crazy day for me in the Big B house. The more people that leave, the harder the game gets. My word and my loyalty is all I have in this house, but it's constantly tested. I want to play this game, but don't want to win at any cost." She's probably one of the few. I mean, right now you've got Misha, Todrick, and Shanna that's playing the game. And they actually want to win the game. I think the rest of them were like, oh, if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. It's not a big deal. Apparently, the alarm went off inside the house last night that said, "House guests, return inside. You are now on lockdown." But Todd said they were all already inside, so they don't know why it went off. They don't know if something was going on outside or what, but it was fairly early in the morning. Todrick's complaining that he got called into the DR 3 times yesterday. I'm sure he is eating it up. I am sure he is hamming it up for the cameras. He is seen at one point saying, he's talking about Chris Kirkpatrick, and he's saying, "Yeah, but I'm the bad guy on the show that's being filmed and recorded 24/7. Okay, girl, cool." He said, there are people out there that are really good at creating their own narrative and believing it. Believing they're a victim, that they've been wronged. Don't be that person, America. He's talking into the cameras. Own up to your actions. That will get you a lot further in life. He's saying Chris is playing the victim. He says, "We're playing a game. We haven't stabbed anyone's cats in the making of this. We're just playing a game." Then he goes on to say, "You can't stab someone in the back and be talking shit about them." He's talking to Chris, and he says he acts like he hasn't been playing the game. I think he actually believes his crap. I have zero regrets, and I would do it all again. That's rich coming from Todrick, because I honestly do believe that he is. It seems as if he's told this stuff so much that he actually believes it. He actually believes his own lies at this point. I've known some people like that. They lie so much they believe their own crap. That sounds like where Todrick's at right now. He says that people are acting on a whole nother level on the house, and that it's just ridiculous. Oh my God, seriously? People are acting a whole nother level? Todrick is the only one in that house that I have heard, him and Misha, that talk about other people, not just the game, but their home life and how they got their money and what people in the outside world think about them. And all of this crap, it's nothing having to do with gameplay. It's just running them down for the sake of running them down. A little later on, Todd and Lamar are sitting at the kitchen table, and Todd is very conscious of his microphone. And if you haven't seen the live feeds, you wouldn't know it. But anytime Todd says anything that might be construed as wrong, he will take his mic off, he will cup it in his hand, and he will hold it while he's saying what he's saying, and then he'll put it back on. It's very obvious. So Todd and Lamar are sitting at the kitchen table, and Todd says, "I can't stand him." And Lamar said, "Who?" Todd takes his mic off, holding it in his hand. Well, what he doesn't realize is those mics are so strong that when Lamar bends over, Lamar's mic is picking up what Todd's saying. So Todd says, "I can't stand him." And Lamar says, "Who?" He said, "Todd." He said, "I can't stand him." He's like, "But you can't say anything." And Lamar said, "Why not?" He said, "Because he's got a whole nation behind him. You can't," and he knows it. He knows nobody can say anything to him because he has a whole nation behind him. So what that means, I'm not quite sure. But Todrick is not so loved in the house, and it seems as if Chris Kirkpatrick and Shayna are not the only ones saying so. Todd goes on to say that Todrick's going to lose his mind if Misha gets voted out. And he probably will. Cynthia and Carson are having a conversation, and Cynthia's like, "Yeah, we made a deal with Misha not to put us up, but what happens if Misha throws the HOH?" And Carson said, "Yeah, she could get someone else to do her dirty work." So Cynthia's like, "Well, we need to get them in here, and we need to make sure that this is contingent on Misha and Todrick promising not to put us up." So you're thinking, well, maybe they are catching on to the game. Maybe they're really thinking now. So they call Todrick and Misha up to the room, and they say, we just want to reconfirm our deal, that this is what it is, that if either one of you get HOH, you don't put me and Cynthia up. "Oh, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good." And then Misha says, or Todrick says, "Well, what happens if Shayna wins the POV? And would you still consider keeping Misha?" And Cynthia's like, "Oh, yeah, we would." And Carson's looking at Cynthia, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, we would." And he said, "But what would you want to happen?" Misha says, "Well, are you so sure that Todd's the one that you want going home if she wins the veto?" And they're like, "Well, what do you mean?" And it's like, "Well, between Todd and Lamar, Lamar's not really playing the game. Don't think he really wants to be here. And we'd rather keep Todd in the game. So if anybody, if the nominations are changed, Todd should be the one pulled down. Lamar should be the one to go up. And then y'all vote Lamar out instead of me." They fell for it. Y'all, I am screaming at my computer screen. I literally want to pull my hair out at this moment. And Cynthia says, "Well, it's up to you. I know he's on y'all's side." And Carson says, "Yeah, if Shanna goes home, then you still have your team intact, and it's just me and Cynthia." So he knows this. And he says, "We're voting out a neutral party, and y'all's team will still be intact." Say those words. "I am voting out a neutral party, but the other side of the house team is still intact." Are you really that gullible? And Carson even says at one point that he is so gullible and that he's so glad that Cynthia's in the house with him. You can't have two gullible people that can get anything done. Now Todrick's playing the victim again. He's telling Cynthia and Carson that Shanna won't talk to him, that she's mad at him for blowing up her game, and that it's just a game, it's not personal, but she's so mad at him that she won't even talk to him, that she won't even be in the same room with him. Then they proceed to tell Carson and Cynthia, "Yeah, well, you know that we were working together, because if she was actually on y'all's side of the team, why would she have to take a meeting with us after she took Carson off the block and apologize to us and explain why she did what she did?" And then he says we didn't go to her. She hunted us down. Everybody saw on live TV. Shanna used the veto. She was headed to her room. Todrick stopped her, started talking to her, and then Misha followed them. Shanna didn't go to anybody. She was going to her room. It's like, do you not realize that this is playing out on national TV and on live feeds? We can tell that you're lying. And he does it with such ease, people. Just such ease. The lies, they just keep falling out of his mouth. Then Cynthia goes on to say, well, if she wasn't lying, then she would have told us that y'all were lying. And she never did that. Yes, she did. She told them several times they were lying. When they said, you said it was Carson's, that it was your idea for Carson to go on the block. And she said, that's a lie. Something else, I don't remember what the other thing was. Oh, that she knew that they were going on the block. She said, that's a lie. I did not have that conversation with Todrick. So it's like she's saying all the right things, but they're not hearing it. It's like they have blinders on when it comes to Todrick. Then Cynthia says that Shanna's frustration is coming from the fact that she couldn't convince Carson and Cynthia that Todrick was a bad person, that he was saying all this mean stuff. And Carson's like, does she not realize that I've known you for like 6 years, that you wouldn't lie to me? I'm telling y'all, I was screaming at my computer. This is crazy. This next part I'm going to read to you guys word for word because I copied it word for word. I'm horrible at improvising for some of the stuff. And I wanted you to hear the words that came out of his mouth. Todrick tells Cynthia, Carson, and Misha, I just wish Shanna would talk to me. At the end of the day, you were playing a game. I did not come for you, your life, your integrity, the things that you came at me for. She was just straight up lying in my face. I don't feel like anybody else's moral and ethic compasses have been attacked like her and Chris did to me. And I just think that's dirty. I'm trying to get over this. I know it's not the same for y'all. Then he tells Carson and Cynthia that he knows it's not their job to stick up for him, but that he's hoping that if Shanna starts running him down anymore or attacking his character, that Cynthia and Carson would take up for him and put a stop to it. You can't make this up. You cannot make this shit up. Carson tells Todrick to just take the high road. Then Todrick goes downstairs and gets on the camera and starts talking about how he was the only one in this house that protected Shanna. He was the only one in this house that was there for Shanna. How many times have we heard that? If you're watching the live feed, you've heard it every day about somebody. He's the only one. He's the reason that Shanna hasn't been up before is because he was protecting her. Really? Shanna's seen going back up to the HOH room and it's just Carson in there. And she asked Carson what was going on, and he kept trying to deflect and saying, let's just talk after the veto. Everything will be more clear then. And she says, if I don't win the veto, am I going on the block? Are you backdooring me? And Carson couldn't lie, of course, because of his integrity. But he says, it's a possibility. And she's like, may I ask you why? Well, because you're working both sides of the house and you got caught. She's like, Carson. Yes, I was working both sides of the house, but I made my decision when I pulled you off the block. I drew a line in the sand. It was supposed to be us against them. Well, I know, but it got you further in the game, and this is just how it has to be. I swear I want to slap some sense into both of them. It's like Todrick has a spell on Cynthia and Carson. It's like he waves something in front of their face, and they say, yes, Mr. Todrick, what do you want us to do? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, you want us to throw our game away for you? Yes, sir. That's what they're doing. Then Carson tells Shanna, well, if you're honestly telling the truth, then let's have a meeting with everyone together. Shanna doesn't want to do that. Would you want to do that? Walk into a room where you've got 4 people against 1? 2 being Cynthia and Todrick, who aren't going to let her speak. They aren't going to let her make any valid points. Hell, Misha's not either. Carson would probably be the only one that sat there and kept his mouth shut. I wouldn't do it. I would be like Shanna. If you want to believe them, As much as it hurts me, if you want to believe them, then you go ahead and you do what you need to do. And I'll do what I need to do. And that would be the end of it. Honestly, no, it wouldn't. Because I would so give Todrick and Misha a piece of my mind. I could never be on Big Brother. My temper would... I'd probably get kicked off the first week. I can't handle... I hate to say the word bullying because bullying has been used so much. It's been watered down. It doesn't mean the same thing as it used to. But when you have one person out of 7 that's isolated themselves in a room and none of those people have gone in there and tried to make it any better. They're all talking shit about her. Lamar and Carson are the only two that aren't talking shit about her. Both in the game and personally. You would have to feel alone. You would have to feel isolated. And this is going to mess with her head. She is not going to be 100% for that veto competition today. She's not. Carson then goes downstairs and talks to Misha and Todrick and of course has to fill him in on what was said. And Carson said, well, I have a question for y'all. Why would she take me off the block if she wanted me to go out? And their response was, because she could trust you more. Because she knows that you would be more loyal to her than I would. This is Misha talking. Than I would because I've never trusted her. And then goes on to tell Carson. And by the way, I never agreed to the Final Four that they were talking about. So then Carson goes on to tell Cynthia. And when he tells Cynthia, he doesn't say, hey man, I just found out that they never agreed to a Final Four. So she actually wasn't in a Final Four. No, he goes and tells Cynthia they weren't in a Final Four because Misha wouldn't agree to it because Misha didn't trust her. That's why there was no Final Four. Make this make sense, somebody please. For the love of God, make this make sense. And then Lamar is seen saying, Carson ain't gonna put Todrick up, but I will. Lamar is still sad that he wants to put up Misha and Todrick. And Misha and Todrick even told Cynthia and Carson that in the HOH room. That that's why they want Lamar to go over Todd. And it still didn't throw up any red flags. So who the hell knows what's going to happen tonight? It's going to be an episode for the books. I'm hoping that Shanna wins POV. And then I'm hoping that she wins HOH. I want the madness to stop. But tell me what you think in the comments. Do you get as excited as I do about Big Brother? Does it make your blood boil when stuff starts going down? Let me know. And I will be back tonight after the live show and we will discuss what happened then. We'll do another video on that. And until then, as always, much love.